And now you have a baby.
Yeah.
How old?
I have a little baby now. She's 16 months.
Wow.
Yeah, she's
amazing.
really cute. I really like it.
Talking about those stories and now being where you are now and a mom, and just from your social media with it, you seem like you're just like all about it.
I really have fun. I mean, it's like, and I was really nervous to be a parent, and like, first of all, having a baby in the middle of COVID and everything, and like married to a firefighter, like that was right at the beginning.
Wow.
You know, so that was like, I had a lot of fear when I was pregnant. All the way through for like a million reasons. And I was never liking it. I was never that woman that was going to like post her birth story. I didn't like any part of it. So I think that the fact that I had literally had to consider every worst case scenario, literally, because it was like COVID and he's on the job and everything. And I think that by the time she arrived, I was like, oh, this is so fun. I forgot about all the funny parts about having a kid. They're hilarious. Like I walk into her room in the morning and she's standing up in her little like sleep sack and she goes, oh, wow. I'm like, that's just very funny.
God.
She's a year and a half. I don't know where she heard that, but whenever I walk in her room, she's like, oh, wow.
No offense, but you wore that shirt last night.
She does say it kind of like that Kristen girl. Yeah.
Hey, it's Herbert. And you're listening to the About Last Night podcast, you slippery little son of a bitch.
About last night.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Wait, that wasn't on, but now this is
That was
beginning.
on.
That was the beginning.
That was on.
All right.
Welcome back to the show. Rachel Feinstein here. Feinstein or Feinstein?
Feinstein.
Feinstein.
Yes.
I think I've been saying Feinstein before I knew you and since I've known you.
Well, how weird is this? Like, people always say it wrong, and I never correct them, so much so that somebody did it wrong, and I repeated it back to them wrong because on some video because I didn't want them to feel bad, and so people now use that video as reference.
Amazing.
So disturbing that I'm like I just don't want them to feel bad, so I'm like, that's okay.
Right.
But I feel like also any version of that name, it's just such a gangrenous name. Like, it's like, whatever, Feinstein.
Really?
Yeah, it's over at that point.
See, I had an Aaron Feinstein in...
It's my brother's name.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is your brother a rabbi/doctor?
No, he's a lovely sort of like a social worker kind of artist type.
Nice.
Yeah, but
is he funny?
He is funny. Yeah, he's really funny.
You're not the only funny one in the family then. Do you feel like it's like a collaborative?
My dad is real funny and dark and weird.
That's where you get it from.
Yeah, definitely. He's like he doesn't know what he can say and where he can say it. So he's like always getting in like wild amounts of trouble.
Nice. Like no filter.
Yeah.
A no-filter dad is kind of my favorite version of a dad.
He's a wild guy.
I think any dad. My dad left when I was 9, so I think any version of a dad is probably like, boy, that's the second pod in a row.
I wonder why if that's like part of what makes you're always like very warm and like kind of assuring.
Mama's
I
boy.
feel like you give people what you didn't get. Yeah.
Whoa. Can I lie down real quick?
No, because you're like extra accommodating. You're always extra lovely. And I still remember seeing you like on a lot somewhere. I don't even remember why I was on that lot. But that lonely lot feeling that I would have when I'd be out here in a lot somewhere, just like that archaic loneliness that only comes over you in that lot. And then you were just like, hey, like you give the warmest.
Cool.
Like,
good.
Exactly what I'd been needing. Yeah.
Yeah, there is something about was it in L.A. probably?
It was in L.A., yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel this way when I go to New York, too. It's like if there's a street corner, which is most street corners, that I'm like unfamiliar with, I definitely, if I see any familiar face, I'm just like, hey!
I know, yes.
Even if it's, I don't know, somebody that looks like they might be hooking or stab me.
I think you could sense how much I needed to bump into someone I know. Like you stopped and you gave me exactly what I needed.
I've been watching you for like 10 minutes, just aimlessly like looking around for some sort of connection.
Like this woman is lonely in a haunting way. Let me really help give her what she needs to get.
Definitely from Bethesda. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, exactly.
Bethesda, Pennsylvania.
Bethesda, Maryland.
Maryland.
Yes.
Fuck.
No, it's Bethesda, Maryland.
Starting over. What was that place like? I heard you say that I think on a late night spot, and And then in trying to pull just a couple fun facts, I was like, oh, yeah. And I have so many questions about that. I don't know how much you've talked about it, but I'm fascinated with Maryland in general.
Really?
Because I've only been to Timonium and downtown and then a few places in between. But I always feel like it's the state that has the most places like Bethesda and Timonium where probably, unless you live there, nobody knows what that is or where that is. Yeah?
Yeah, Bethesda, yeah.
Bethesda.
But I said it back to you the wrong way, too. I did the same thing with the name, and then I was like, stop this cycle. Because you're just...
This is good. The comment section is going to be flooded with, she's funny, but she can't let anything go. Bethesda. Wait.
Yes, Bethesda.
Bethesda.
No, not Bethesda.
Jesus Christ. I'm like a bad Spanish teacher. Okay, so what was it like growing up there?
Well, I mean, it's weird because I don't have like a strong attachment to where I'm from. I felt like I was moving home when I moved to New York City, but
when you were
Bethesda,
17, right?
When I was 17,
okay.
Yeah, with a guy in his band called Dick Sister.
Dick Sister?
Yeah.
And you're not still with him, are you?
No, Dick Sister dumped me repeatedly. He would dump me and then he would sort of undump me and agree to take me back and then redump me. So I was dumped thrice by Dick Sister until it really took.
Sorry for laughing, but
no, we have to laugh.
Had the name been anything else,
I know
I might not be as. Was it traumatic? Yeah, getting dumped anytime.
Yeah, getting repeatedly
grade.
dumped. Yeah, I mean, I really loved him in a wild way. I went on the road with Dick Sister, and then I heard them arguing about me in the bathroom. I was in the bathroom, and they were like, "Dude, you can't keep bringing your girl on the road for these gigs, man. She's a fucking hole in the team."
No, you were Yoko.
I was Yoko to Dick Sister. I was just like cock blocking the other guys by just like being around. And I probably was annoying to be around because I would just like look at him longingly. And just all I wanted was for him to get off stage and be mine again.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
You had like that true, almost famous experience, right?
Yes. And he was just, I'm sure, like wildly cheating on me. And they were just doing like alarming amounts of blow. And then he just kept dumping me. He would get high, like really high, and then tell me we were going to get married. And then when he would come down, he'd be like, "You're dumped," basically.
Jesus.
Yeah. And
pick a lane.
I know. And sometimes, like, I would be just like having a bagel in the kitchen. Like, it wasn't a dumping moment. Like, I would be like buttering a bagel. Like, yeah, there's no. Wait a second. This is.
Yeah. That's I'm minding my own business.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with you, unless I did like the last thing of butter, and that was his biggest pet peeve, where he was like, "Look, Dick's sister has like a lot of stuff going on, and we're trying to get here, and like I got a few rules, like don't walk in on me and the guys doing coke, don't call us wiener sister, like stick sister, and if you take the last fucking piece of butter and I see you do it and you see me, wow,
that's it, beat it, hit the road."
Okay, so you're buttering a bagel.
And he just like walked in the kitchen. He was like, well, I think what happened is he would smoke pot in the morning, and then he would start to think and get paranoid and kind of look at me, and then he'd be like, "I don't think we can do this anymore," you know?
What the fuck?
And then I was just mid-bagel, and I was excited to eat it. You know when you're just so ready to eat something? You've almost eaten it as I was
talking to a former fat kid who used to dream about SpaghettiOs, wake up, walk to the grocery store to get them with my mom's credit card.
Yeah.
Didn't do that, but thought about it a lot. Double-fisted Pop-Tarts and Cool Whip. So
I loved Pop-Tarts and Cool Whip. Actually, if we could just step aside for one moment and
we'll put a pin in Dick's sister.
We'll circle back. Put a pin in Dick.
How many times has that been said in the last 4 days?
Put a pin in Dick's sister is an amazing phrase. But speaking of Pop-Tarts, so I had this other friend, and I was really obsessed with it.
Wait, sorry, real quick. I thought you were going to say you got dumped by a guy mid-Pop-Tart.
Mid-Pop-Tart. There would be a great sadness to that.
If it was like bagel Pop-Tart, for whatever reason, guys you were with saw you like applying condiments or frosting to any sort of pastry / bread and couldn't handle it. Something about the way you did it was so condescending.
Maybe something about how I ate would just be so slovenly and disgusting to them that they would just have to dump me before they watched it all over again. But that could be true because I am kind of a greedy eater. Like I get excited.
I love that though.
Yeah.
Food is, I mean, if you're going to eat anything, why are you, I don't know. I mean, there's some foods that I guess have no true joy, and you're doing it for maybe some sort of...
I can only think of maybe just like, you know, that Catholic treat that you get, that little Jesus Cheez-It. That's the only one that seems joyful. You know, the
I've heard of it.
Cheez-It. I just looked at you like you're going to tell me.
Yeah.
The tasteless wafer that the priest just lowers in your mouth.
Oh, yeah. Never had it.
The little bite of Jesus the Catholics get. I was always jealous of that little Jesus Cheez-It until I had that snack, and it's not that great.
No salt, no nothing.
No, Jews
Boy,
would never
what a
put up with
scam,
that.
Jews. Yeah, I was going to say, I've been to
like,
so
is there
many.
hummus or spread or something?
You don't dip it in anything. There's not a soup to assist it with.
But
okay,
yeah, so I
the
had this
Pop-Tart.
friend, and I really was jealous of the food that she had and everything about her. Her name was Kristen, and she had just like one of those names that was like sprinkled with like just, Christ and sunshine. Like I wanted a name like that. Like if a guy was hooking you up with a girl and he was like, listen, I want you to meet this girl. Her name's Rachel Feinstein. You'd be like, oh, point her out to me at the party. Like, let's not jump ahead.
I mean,
it's not good.
Rachel's such a sweet name. I guess I grew up with the Feinstein.
Okay.
Feinstein. Right?
Yes,
I already fucked up.
Feinstein,
Feinstein.
yeah.
I grew up with the Feinsteins, so I'm coming in differently. But I hear what you're saying.
No, that means a lot.
Versus Kristen what? What was her last name?
Well, I was like, should I not say it?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's something that just
it's something that's just
flows.
like a Hitler Youth kind of name.
Wow.
It's very
Yeah.
it's just a real like
type where-
spotless, clean Christian name.
If you saw it like
know?
a Tower Records and you were like, I don't
Yeah.
know who that artist is, but they're next to Dick's sister, so they have to be doing something right, right? And you just buy it because of the name, because it sounds good. Like Natalie Imbruglia.
Yes, yeah, that name. You're like, she's gonna take me somewhere. Yeah, I'll go to that land wherever that broad is visiting.
I'll follow
yes.
her. Where? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so she had really good treats and a beautiful Christian name that I wanted. And, I was just jealous of those kinds of girls. Those just like blonde, spotless girls. Like my hair was always kind of dripping down my back. I had this kind of gangrenous and I didn't know how to dry it. So my back was always wet. And my mom would be like, they call her wet back at school. They use racial slurs on her. I'm like, no, it's because my back is wet. They're actually trying to give me like
funny.
a head. I had a wet back. Like,
Yeah.
no wonder I do stand up. I was just walking around just dripping. Like I was not okay.
People didn't. I mean, they would try to let you know about it by calling you that name. But did you pick up on it?
Yeah, I think I
you
slowly
felt it.
realized that it wasn't normal to go to your school with your hair that like wet.
Oh my
I kind
God.
of thought everybody just kind of ran out dripping.
Oh my God, it's a great sense. I thought everyone's just
I was like,
running
that's
around
what
dripping.
we do, right? And then I
Yeah.
started realizing nobody else had the
You air
same
dry.
puddle on their back. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So she was just one of those girls with like long blonde hair that I just wanted to be
You're
her
envious
so
of her.
bad. Yeah, and I wanted her snacks. She had like my mom never had sweets. She just like didn't believe in them or something, which just made me be completely obsessed with them. And she had like all the stuff Jews didn't get, like Wonder Bread and Hostess cupcakes and Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
And I would go over there and just like gorge myself.
Wonka's Factory.
Yeah, you understand, right?
Yes, I had the exact same friend, Brian Hildebrand.
Yes.
The king size. They gave out king size candy bars at Halloween. That's how much they were fucking rolling in it. But they had Costco's like back fridge as their main fridge. You know what I'm saying? Like everything there was everything that you wanted. Jumbo
Yes.
size wheat thins, fucking the big pretzels with peanut butter, without peanut butter. And yeah, you're right. It's like I had the fucking bare min of like, every 6 months I got the smell of Fruitio,
And you probably had that low grade depression peanut butter with just
Yes.
some raw shit with not a speck of sweetness in it.
It wasn't even called peanut butter. It was like knockoffs. It's the dollar store, like not Cocoa Puffs, but like frosted chocolate nugget balls. And you're like,
Yeah.
all right, same thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's not fair.
No, it's not.
And then you choose your friends based on, I don't know if you do this, I would choose my friends based on what kind of snacks they had.
Yeah.
And become just obsessed with
And then
getting
trade
back
at
to
lunch,
that house.
right?
Yeah.
Or go to the house, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, getting back, yeah.
And I remember that closet where she had her, like, I remember that cupboard where she had those Hostess cupcakes and her Pop-Tarts. And I was in there about to go for one with it just dripping away. And she must have seen some water on the floor because she ran in the kitchen behind me and she goes, no offense, because that was like the cool thing to say in like sixth grade or whenever this happened.
Yeah. It
She's
was
like,
basically like, I don't want to sound racist, but
yeah, she's like, no offense. And then there would be something just that would just arrest you.
The most
afterward.
offense.
Yeah, the most offensive, heartbreaking thing was coming around the pike. She's like, no offense, but my mom says you eat too much when you come over here.
Oh, God. I felt that. Oh, and by the way, the mom like was peering
means
around
they
the
were
corner.
talking about
The mom
it.
definitely was just like, she'd like just told her to go say that. So she wanted to like see your face almost or hear the
Yeah.
silence and just go, that's fucking raw and so hurtful. Wow.
And that comes back to haunt us because she was like, I was standing there, I was so upset. And she was like, I'm sorry, but she needs the stuff for lunches. And I just became
You're doing such a great job. Your character work has always been spot on, but I see and feel this girl and hate her with a fiery passion.
No offense. And it's like, your life is perfect. Let me have your fucking
Let me have one
ho-hos.
fucking ho-ho, Kristen.
Yeah. You twat. You
affects-
terrible, terrible twat. You're going to get everything you want, in your life, in your spotless,
You
perfect
stinky
little
bitch. You don't even
Kristen-filled
eat
life.
these ho-hos. They just sit
Yeah.
here for display and you walk by just to feel better because you're like, I'm not only going to eat them when I'm sad, which is most days, but I don't tell anyone about it.
And she's one of the kind of girls who would have 2 bites of something and then roll up the top again and put it back in the same place.
It's like I never
how
had
dare
it.
you?
Fuck you. Eat the whole thing like an animal or don't even look at it.
Exactly.
Ho-hos weren't made to take bites of. They were made to be fucking devoured in the back of a 7-Eleven alley.
And I needed them, so I didn't hang myself.
Wait, so my
anyway,
mom says you eat too much at our house.
And then I literally was so humiliated that I started to cry, like wild crying, not pretty crying, just like shaking, quaking, just deep weeping.
So now you got
kitchen.
wet back and wet chest.
So now I'm wet all over.
Jesus.
And it's not sexual.
What's worse? Yeah, it's not at all. It's
Sounds,
the
but
worst
it's
kind
really
of wet
disgusting.
chest. It's just sad to your titties.
It sounds hot and gets the most disgusting physical image you could imagine. So then her mom comes in because now she's got a real problem on her hands. She's got this girl who's already dripping all over the kitchen. Now she's weeping. Speak of hole in the team. I was a serious hole in the team. So the mom walks in and she's like, well, Rachel, we didn't want you to get this upset over it. And I kept crying and the mom sat me down at the table.
Yeah, it makes you more upset.
Yeah. And she goes, is there anything we can do to help you feel better?
I know how this story's about to end, and
I was like,
can't
well,
wait.
actually, now that you bring it up, another Pop-Tart might make a dent in what I feel right now.
As soon as I walked in, I saw that box of brown sugar, and I just haven't been able to stop looking at it. Oh, my God.
And she gave it to me, but she was done. She was just, once I said that, she was like, oh, you're a true beast. Yeah,
wow.
she was like.
Yeah, you put your foot down and doubled down on the snacks.
She's like, Kristen, go ahead and give them to her. But after that, she'll be going straight
Were you banned from the house?
I don't remember
going back.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny, too? I love that you said the way we weasel our way into the house with good snacks.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're probably pretty good at, like, schmoozing, right?
Yes.
You're very personable and networking.
So are you, see?
Do we get it from that?
Maybe that's why, because my mom used to think that I had this really charming relationship with this older lady on the block, and she's like, she visits her, and it's just so lovely because she cares. She's got that sense of empathy. Yeah. Meanwhile, it was the dish of candy on her. I didn't give a shit.
Who gives a fuck about what you're up to,
care.
Mildred? You got Werther's.
Exactly. I was there for one reason only.
Not friendship.
I never cared if she lived or died, my friend.
That's so amazing. Wait, your mom, I know you've talked a lot about her in your act. Mm-hmm. I just in the past couple of years have started to kind of let my mom become a part of the act. And she, though, since I started stand-up 15 years ago, is like, I don't know why I'm not in the act more. Is this consistent with your mom, or does she?
That's interesting. So your mom wanted to be in it more.
Oh, yeah. She's just, her name's Puddin', a little spunky Jew from Oklahoma. And now especially, and I've said this before, just once I started to see her as a person and go, oh, wow, that is for sure. I get a lot of my silliness, goofiness, timing for sure, delivery. She's just very funny. And so now I welcome it, and now I can play with it versus like in high school when it was just she and I was just very much like, didn't want to even maybe connect in that way. So it was like once I got to college and came back and was like, oh, I can joke with her. I was like, whoa, she's pretty sharp. And so she'll say things now more so it makes sense to actually go, all right, that should be in the act because...
Like, what did she say? What kind
what's
one of her sayings? What did you say her name was?
Puddin'.
Puddin'?
Her name's Carolyn, but my grandpa gave her this nickname of Puddin', and that's who she is. You meet her, that's who she is,
And people call her that?
Oh, yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. I love her
already.
I mean,
what does she say? She does, like, if you say, like, her big thing is just, overfeeding, Jewish mom, like when I would leave, I wouldn't comb my hair to go to temple if I was going with her, instead of going to a football game. And I'm like, I'm going to go to you, temple, comb your hair. And I'm like, Mom, it's fine. If you love me, you'll comb your hair.
If you'll
comb
me,
your goddamn hair.
Oh dear.
And then I would freak out and be like, you always just want me to do this for you, and it doesn't and she would just go, well, that sounds like a personal problem. That's her big line is like, whatever you're complaining about that you don't like that she's doing, it's your problem.
She says that sounds like a personal problem? Yeah. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. She's got a bunch of those types of sayings. She's got yikaroonies, which is basically her, like, fuck, I guess. It's like a weird Midwest thing. I mean, just tons. But, you know, like we were playing Cards Against Humanity, and she pronounced one of the cards was, and this became a bit, was you never want to do this during a bukkake. And she pronounced it boo cake. And we didn't know what it was. And so then it became this whole thing. And then she wanted us to explain it to her what it was. And then we did. And she was just like, well, that doesn't sound like fun. And then that became like a running joke. And she brings it up a lot now. But
did all your friends call her Puddin' too?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Hello? Hello, Sydney. Who's this? It's Darren. Sorry, I just got fired from Domino's, and I wanted to scare the shit out of you. I'm feeling low about myself, and I thought if I scared you, I'd feel better about myself. Newsflash, we stopped dating 7 years ago, Darren. Tired of getting harassed by your ex who just got fired from Domino's? Yeah, me too. That's why you need SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe just launched their new wireless outdoor security camera. That's right, SimpliSafe, the system that U.S. News and World Report names Best Home Security System of 2021, just got even better. How? Well, their brand new outdoor security camera is engineered with all of the advanced tech and security features you want and need to help keep you and your family safe. It has an ultra-wide 140-degree field of view, which means you can keep watch over your entire yard. I don't have a yard yet, but I hope to, and when I do, I'm going to fuck with these guys because they've got 1080 HDP resolution with an 8x zoom. That means you can zoom in and see things clearly, like faces and license plates, to capture critical evidence if someone's trying to break in and fuck your shit up. It has a built-in spotlight with color night vision, so you can be like fucking Batman or Wolverine or whoever had that and keep an eye on what's going on day and night. It's super simple to set up and usually takes just a couple minutes. It has an easy-to-remove rechargeable battery, so it doesn't need an outlet and can go anywhere on your property, so you can track every move that's being made outside your home. This camera has it all, and it integrates with your SimpliSafe home security system, extending its protection to the outside. Together, it means every door, window, and room are protected, and now your property will be too. To learn more about the exciting new SimpliSafe wireless outdoor security camera, visit simplisafe.com/about. What's more, SimpliSafe is celebrating this new camera by offering 20% off your entire new system and your first month of monitoring service free when you enroll in interactive monitoring. Again, that's SimpliSafe, SIMPLI, safe.com/about. Wow, that sounds great. I definitely won't prank call you anymore, Rebecca. Yeah, please don't, because my dad's a cop and an MMA fighter, and he'll fuck you up and then call the police on you, but then it'll be him, so he'll just take you to jail and fuck you up more on the way there because he's an MMA fighter. Cool, you could have just said stop calling, and I also would have gotten the picture. Shit.
You know, in a few videos I've seen that you did that one on Comedy Central, I think, where you and your mom called in to kind of critique your impression of her.
Yes.
And it was amazing because she sounds so, what's her name?
Her name's Karen.
She sounds so sweet, and she, I guess, takes her dancing very seriously, and you in a bit were just, you know, very hilariously breaking down how much she takes in pride in it, but then you were like, but she's an awful dancer. And then your mom on the phone was just like, I really don't appreciate that because I take a lot of pride in my line dancing. And you're just listening. And I was like, this is fucking amazing.
And I think it was because she also did the booty call, which she I don't even know what it was, what my mom calls the booty call and what she's doing. I don't know what in God's name she's doing, but she calls it the booty call. And
you haven't seen the dance.
I'm on that. Well, because she's kind of like stirring herself. It's just,
gotcha.
That's why I talk about on stage is a weird sort of frontal stirring that she does, which she calls the booty call. I guess because her ass is kind of out, but whatever's happening, it's like a cocktail of bad things. But she's like, she didn't appreciate that I did like an impression of it.
Yeah.
And she's my mom is like bleeding heart, like liberal. So all she wants to be is just like accepted by anyone that's not white so desperately. So she felt I like kind of called her out like that.
Whoa.
You know? Yeah.
Does she appreciate being even, you know, mentioned in your stand-up and like...
She does like it, though. Yeah, if I don't talk about her, she gets upset. But she has specific critiques in, you know, she'll be like, take that out of your talent show, which is what she calls my stand-up. And I talk about that on stage. But she'll say either your talent show or your little program. She'll be like, don't put that little thing in your little program. And I guess she also didn't like that I say she wears menopausal capes because she said she was going through menopause when she saw me do say that for the first time on TV. I said that my mom wears menopausal cape, and she was like, I was having a darn hot flash when I saw that.
Menopausal
description. Cape? Yes, I said she wears a lot of menopausal capes. You know what I mean? Just like some sort of long, like
Gotcha.
Navajo inclusive looking
Right.
smock of some sort.
Something that's cool to kind of
Yes.
subside the hot flash. Is that what it's for?
I don't know what it's for. I mean, she's been wearing these sort of like kind of Iroquois looking cloaks for a long time. She wears a hostile amount of Southwestern jewelry, my
Amazing.
mom. And then she's always got something on her and then waits to be asked about it and then acts like she's surprised she has it on. And I used to talk about that on stage. But she'd be
Love
like,
that.
Is that from, I forgot that. This is from Sedona.
Yeah, and then a very specific story that
And
she
then
was just
exactly.
waiting to tell.
She knew. She knew all along.
Does she have tattoos?
She doesn't have tattoos. She's like, you know, she's like a sweet, dorky mom who's
Yeah.
just so wants to be accepted and wants to, like, she was weeping on Zoom when she figured out when Karen met because her name's Karen Feinstein. She's always outside at like I'm not kidding, and I'll show you a picture later, but she's always standing on a corner with a sign about diversity somewhere. She's always in some sort of like diversity action picnic, like doing like a jazzercise lunge, just ready to unite. So that was like her worst nightmare when she figured out when Karen met.
Was she supportive that when you moved at 17 from Maryland to New York, so you guys were living there, right? Mm-hmm. And then you moved there with the band. Mm-hmm. And then did you know that you were going to kind of make comedy?
I had a vague idea, but it was mostly following Dick Sister.
Wow.
And my mom, had no follow-up questions. Like, she should have been truly alarmed. She was, like, outside in a dashiki or something. Just, like, fantastic. Like, she had no question. I'm 17.
Now I've got a hookup for tickets,
Dick
finally.
Sister, yeah. It was not okay. But my mom was always, that was the kind of mother. She was just, like, outside, like, strong women rock. And I'm like, no, this isn't okay.
Wait, no. This is actually the time for you to intervene.
Yes.
This is, yeah.
Everything I did, she would just be like, I love it. I'm like, I'm crying for help and boundaries. Any level of parental guidance, please,
my
for the love
God.
of God. This is not safe or good. Yeah.
Just so supportive of your choices that were
Yes.
independent and maybe moving you forward and just doing what you wanted to do, yeah?
Yeah, but it's like some things were kind of alarming along the way, certainly. I'm sure there were other ways I could have gone to New York instead of like vis-a-vis Dick Sister, which was a real painful time for me because Dick Sister didn't even want me there.
How quickly did you fall out of the Dick Sister circle?
I mean,
and then just be on your own?
My dad had to drive to New York to kind of get me, I think after he dumped me the third time, and he kind of picked me up in like the Feinstein grocery getter to kind of figure out what I would do. And then I came home for a few weeks, and then a friend of mine was living in New York, and he said he would rent me a room, So I rented a room for my friend, and I came back. And then I used to go home on the weekends because I just had no friends in New York. I would just walk past people, and I was like, people can afford to like go out for dinner and sit outside and like talk to each other, and like they have real jobs. Like my mom was like, oh, you should hang out with Judy's friend or Judy's daughter, and she was like, she's an interior designer, and I was like, you mean people could do that like for a living and I could be her friend? And I was so excited to even just like meet this woman that I got ready for like an unstable amount of time, just like for a date with a potential for like, it was dark,
Yeah.
And this woman just immediately wanted nothing to do with me. I remember she was like, we could play with, she said, I have these old broken tennis rackets. She goes, I've been meaning to try out if you ever want to play with them. Like she found like an activity for me.
God.
It was so sad.
Oh my God.
And so sectioned off from the rest of her like fancy, like, just like Manhattan life. She's like, well, I guess we could play with these disabled tennis rackets sometimes.
I found a bucket of bouncy balls if you're feeling, truly.
And I don't blame her because, I mean, I'm sure I would have wanted nothing to. I mean, I was just too wildly lonely at that time in my life. I was
Wanted
just
some
like.
pals.
Yeah. I heard men hang out at steakhouses, so I used to like hang out at steakhouse bars to try to meet a guy.
Awesome. What fucking magazine did you read that in? Or what conversation? Or was it a group of gals at a bar like, all the guys are at Mastro's and Morton's these days? Or was it Sex and the City? Did some show highlight like the best?
I spent so much time at steakhouse.
Oh man, this is awesome. Did you get a job at one just to really? You just go to the bar.
I never actually got
what?
a job. I have to admit that this is actually more recent than that time. In my
Great.
life. It's like right before I got married.
Great.
I was hanging out at steakhouses.
By the way, fucking nothing wrong with that.
I also like steak, so.
Me too.
But
By the way, I'm a big fan of steakhouses.
Yeah.
In fact, when I'm on the road, you know, and if I got some buddies and I make friends with like anybody at the club or the other openers, I'm like, oh man, I really, if it feels special, I like want to go out of my way to like do a nice dinner at one. And if I could all the time, I would. But you know, some of them are just so crazy. But like, it's the best.
It is a lovely evening. Just
It's amazing.
It's a perfect
It
night.
feels
a steakhouse
so
night.
nice.
Yeah, and that spinach, that cream spinach. There's so many stages of the meal that
Amazing
are each more
appetizers.
delightful than the
Yes.
last. Yeah. So it was like, it was a good time in that sense because I would eat a little something at the bar. But then I would just like, there's something about men out in like groups like that.
Yeah.
They're out like for their job or something that I just found like so arousing. So
Nice.
I was just like,
Whoa. Because of like how many of like,
they work. They're not paying attention to me. It's a perfect cocktail.
it's amazing. I love this.
There's something about like a group of guys just like out to talk about something I don't understand and I'm not even interested in that I find extremely appealing.
This is awesome. We're not done. How would you think though too? Because I mean, I would have to assume pretty girls at a bar, a group of dudes. One of the guys is gonna break away from the dudes and be in have you catch his eye, right? Like, did that happen?
I had a girlfriend meet me who was like hot, like been hot all her life kind of confidence.
Yeah.
And she's married and she didn't give a shit, you know? So she would just come out and talk to the guys for me. I used to do this with
great.
Sam Morrill, actually. We would try to like wing each other because I could see the guys, but then I would just be quiet and frightened. And so she would talk to them first and then kind of reel them in and then and also I had another friend that used to hang out with us and she's kind of like real wild, like she does the splits a lot when she's drunk. She's always just like taking her tits out and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of perfect because it makes me look really like demure in comparison. You
Yeah.
know, like it's exciting. The guys are like, this is all they could have ever wanted in an evening. You know, it's
Yeah.
like sudden tittage. But then I'm like suddenly there, like the calmer option.
Amazing, yeah.
You know? So it did kind of work for me. I never like started like seriously dating, but we would like flirt with guys sometimes at like steakhouses. And then my friend that would meet me there often, the hot married one, she was like, you know, this is getting a little weird. And she was like, do you want me to set you up with somebody? And I was like, yes, clearly. Because I'm at Keen's like twice a week.
Wow. And then
So she was like, she's married to a retired firefighter. So she was like, do you want to meet a fireman? So we were sitting actually at the steakhouse bar at Keen's and she texted her firefighter husband. She was like, do you have a fireman for Rachel? And he texted back 2 options, like really quickly. Like it's funny that he had 2 readied firemen on his phone.
oh yeah.
And the first one was like a little jacked up, and we were like, no, clearly. He was coming out of a pool with a really like kind of alarming expression.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that when guys do that? I don't like, and I can already feel people being like, well, you're just saying that because you're deflecting because you don't have that coming out of a pool in slow-mo with a crazy face bod. Well, even if I did, I don't know if I would do that.
No, it is, and to me, it is unattractive that he did that. Like, yes, he was like, you know, he had a good body.
Yeah.
And he was like a jacked fireman.
Yes.
But he was still walking out of a pool knowing it glistening. There's something really
You got
unattractive.
to diffuse it.
but-
How do
yeah.
you diffuse it with some sort of comedy? Are you holding something funny? Are you making a
He was just like gifting you with himself. He was just like, you're welcome, here I am. And I was
Totally,
like,
yeah.
This
Yeah,
guy,
yeah.
I need a guy to have something wrong with him to like me in my mind. Like they need to be like mangled some
Yeah.
reason they would stay. Yeah.
Also, yeah. Also, maybe, I don't know, maybe he like photoshops like a third nipple on him or something and then like says, you know, find the something in this picture that makes, I don't know. There's got to be something you can do to that picture.
Yeah.
So I always say this too about like people that I've seen hitchhiking. They're always making the face of someone who you don't want to pick up. You got to like somehow, you know,
That's so interesting. You're right. They do. Yeah.
like it's always
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, dude, if you're trying to get a ride from a stranger, you got to make the face a little bit less like, I probably won't stab you in the first
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, you have
So I
to
feel like
at
that
least-
with a guy with a hot bod coming out of a pool, you got to do something.
It's funny because people will always be like, when I would tell people I was dating a firefighter, they'd be like, oh, is he on the calendar? I'm like, you don't want the calendar guy. You don't want a man
Hilarious.
that wants to sprawl across rocks. It's foolish. Some oiled, greased man laying on like comfortably on like rock. No, it's unacceptable.
But
It's
there
not
are
attractive.
there are girls that have that
Of
and
course.
got that guy, and they're very proud to be like, he's May.
Yeah, actually, everyone wants him.
Yeah.
What I said is absolutely false. No, everybody wants that guy. There's
Wait,
no
so-
truth to what I've just said, except I don't find that.
So that guy was
particularly
just too much out of the
appealing. It was
gate.
a little bit silly.
And the other
Yeah.
option,
And then he showed me a picture of my husband. He just like kind of had a funny look at his face, and he just sort of
Seemed affable.
Yeah, seemed like a real kind of dude. And then she was
Wow.
like, "Want to come meet him next week at this firefighter Christmas party, some FDNY Christmas party in Brooklyn?" So I went and I brought a couple of my friends, and we all when hung out at this Christmas party, and that's how we met. Yeah,
That's amazing. Is that always the move to bring back up? Like,
I think so
as
for
an
me,
out?
because I don't know, like if you feel like this, but like I could never just go up and talk to a stranger. I could go on stage and talk to
Yeah.
1,000 strangers, but I
Yeah.
couldn't talk to a stranger at a bar. Like I would need one of my more confident in that way,
Yes.
sexually confident friends to talk to him.
And somebody just to kind of like, I don't know, help break the ice, strengthen numbers, like not have all the pressure of the conversation. Like,
Yeah. Also, because it is fun no matter what. Because even when you hang out with a guy, if he doesn't hit on you, or if you're with a friend, it's always fun. Like that's why I always wanted to double date instead of go on those weird. Because there's such a sadness to like dating when you know immediately it's not going to work. But going out with like a friend and it's always fun to just talk to a couple of people, even if they're ridiculous, even if they're wild fools, that's even more
you
fun.
can have a great time. I went on the show Blind Date twice as a joke, and I wore wigs both times.
You did?
And and the second time they caught me, and then they were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because I told them after the first, I was like, "This is a wig," and the first guy was like, "That's brilliant." And then the second episode, I did it again. I went to a wig shop at like 8 a.m. and they had a limo pick me up, and I was like it was like this long-haired wig, and I had a good amount of scruff, and I was wearing sunglasses, and I kept like playing with voices like in the limo to talk to the limo guy. I was like, "What do you think about this one?" Like, "Yeah, I'm just looking for love. I'm just trying to find a woman who like gets me." And he's like, "That feels a little too like, I don't know, Latino. I don't feel like you look." I was like, "All right." So I take it down a little bit more, like, so then I had more of a voice like this, and I get out of the car, and they were like, "All right, Adam, come out here." And I start walking towards him. It was the same producer, and he just goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" And I see him get on the phone. And he goes, "Yeah, it's Adam. It's the wig guy. He's doing it again."
The wig guy?
Yeah. And so I walk up. I was like, "What's up, man? I'm ready to meet the love of my life." He's like, "Dude, no." I go, "What?" He's like, "You can't be fucking doing this." He's like, "Don't you want to meet somebody?" I go, "Yeah, but," and then I just try to like, scramble. I was like, if she meets this guy and likes him, then I know she'll like what's behind it.
So you were genuinely trying to meet somebody. You weren't doing it fully as a goof?
that was bullshit.
Oh, that was bullshit.
That was bullshit.
Right.
I was just doing it as a full goof.
Like you were going to get tape and just have like a funny video.
Yeah, just funny to like,
silly.
then watch with my friends and get high and be like, how fucking stupid was this? And then one of my friends actually, because as well I was in acting school at SC, one of my friends in my class was like, "You should go on every dating show and do this and be the guy that does that. That's how you can break in." I was like,
that doesn't fun though. Like,
there's a weird documentary about that guy, if he did exist. But like, yeah, because it was, I had to go through all the interview process and getting on, and then it was fun to just kind of be on and like kind of take the piss out of like what the show was. But they ended up making me take the wig off, and the girl was a super prude. But yeah, the pressures of.
But are you with multiple people on it?
No, it's just you.
It's just you and the girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to really kind of just, but I was just being so ridiculous, and then she just wasn't having it. But so I get you. It's like when you have more people there, even if one party does suck, it's way more fun.
You always have fun. I mean, everybody's had that drunken smear of a night where you're at a bar talking to some guy and whatever. And no matter what happens, like it's just fun. Yeah.
I saw you do these videos called Red Flags, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. And you were talking about how this one guy, or guys, I think it was one guy, would leave. You'd be drinking at the bar, and then he would leave and always say he had to catch a red eye.
Yes.
And this is so fascinating to me because, hey, everyone, both sides of the party have had to come up with excuses to leave. Whether it's like, the classic, right, with girls is like looking at the phone, being like, "Oh my friend needs me," or what, or just leave. I've heard that as a popular one. Just go to the bathroom and don't come back.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a bold move, but I also respect it. It's just I don't know.
Kind of fun.
Fucking if you.
I always loved an Irish exit, but pretending to go to the bathroom is even funnier.
Totally, because then the guy's clearly, then you're testing his just wits as far as him being like, or how good of a guy he is. Does he like truly wait, or does he go in there and be like, "Are you okay?" And then somebody sees that and knows that she left and goes, "Hey, buddy, I saw her leave, but you're a good guy. You were going to check on her, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, not because I thought she was dead. I'm like, I was going to, I ain't paying for this shit, So you said this guy would say you need to catch a flight, and that's crazy because you were like, you said very hilariously, "Who needs you right now?" Like a red-eye flight, that's such a fucking great, like.
And I moved in with that guy, but I was like 24, and I thought, he was like a wild, guttural alcoholic. I know that's not a term, but if you could picture what a guttural, what I might mean when I try to use that word.
So what, at like 11, he was just like, "Babe, I got to go to the airport"?
He would be like, it was a repeated lie he would tell. At a certain point during the evening, one of our first dates, which was at a Port Authority bar, and he was like, "I got to get out of here, babe. I got to catch a red eye." And then he didn't leave, and he just stayed. That's how I found out, because I was like
the comic that says, "Can I go up early? I got to catch a flight," and then you see him at the bar like 20 minutes after.
Exactly. Yes. And then I was like, "But you're still here, like wildly drunk. And what about your red eye?" And he was like, "Oh, I should tell you, I don't really have to catch a red eye. It just felt like important guys catch red eyes." Isn't that fascinating?
Wow, I don't know how to. Yeah.
I mean, to break that down, it would be so many years of damage. Like whatever led to him drinking to that alarming degree, you would have to go. I mean, to understand, he would pretend that he had to catch a red eye because he felt that important men catch red eyes. They have and then he would tell me that. And then he would be
important
so drunk
men like Batman and fucking other Cape Crusaders and Avengers in the middle of the night that are catching red eyes to go do what when they land? Like, I guess in
his case, he wanted me to think he was like mysterious enough to be needed somewhere. It's really hard to break down.
Because he never told you where or why or what.
No, I would be like, I would ask him too. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Jew that asks questions. I'm not going to let that fly by. I'm like, what red eye, where?
The Jews should be interrogators. I don't know, like always. Because, who needs you? Why? What time do you land?
Where in God's name are you going? Yeah, you're shithouse wasted. How are you even going to get to the airport? And are they going to let you fly? I had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Where, first of all? And he would just be like, I can't get into it. He'd act like there was a mysterious reason.
Doubling down, If I told you I'd have to kill you, you're like, well,
And then later on, like maybe a week or two later, he would do the same thing. And he'd be like, I got to get your red eye. And I'd be like, no, we've been down this lane before. I know you're red eye. But he forgot because he was blacked out when he...
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah. I used to do this when he would fall asleep drunk at a bar or when anybody, because at that time in my life, I just ended up dating a lot of drunks.
Yeah.
And they would kind of like pass out and sort of that kind of time where they're just sort of leaning forward, not fully passed out, but just kind of cuddling with themselves.
Yeah.
I would just like prop up next to them, do that like just got married shot because it always made me laugh. Like, got him, So I understood the irony of like just so pretending you're with the most worthless guy at the bar and be like, got him, like because I always thought it was funny those just got married shots, like
I know.
Landed him.
Oh my God, yeah.
And there's something kind of like just funny about like showing off your like rock like that. But then at the same time, like there was no irony because I was with him and I'd moved in with him. That was the problem.
It was actually the reality of the situation,
yes,
and I was living it.
Where I was finding myself. And going to bed at night.
And now you have a baby.
Yeah.
How old?
I have a little baby now. She's 16 months.
Wow.
Yeah, she's
amazing.
Really cute. I really like it.
Talking about those stories and now being where you are now and a mom, and just from your social media with it, you seem like you're just like all about it.
I really have fun. I mean, it's like, and I was really nervous to be a parent, and like, first of all, having a baby in the middle of COVID and everything, and like married to a firefighter, like that was right at the beginning,
Wow.
So that was like, I had a lot of fear when I was pregnant, all the way through for like a million reasons, and I was never liking it. I was never that woman that was going to like post her birth story. I didn't like any part of it. So I think that the fact that I had literally had to consider every worst case scenario, literally, because it was like COVID. And he's on the job and everything. And I think that by the time she arrived, I was like, oh, this is so fun. I forgot about all the funny parts about having a kid. They're hilarious. Like I walk into her room in the morning and she's standing up at her little like sleep sack and she goes, oh, wow. I'm like, that's just very funny.
God.
She's a year and a half. I don't know where she heard that, but whenever I walk in her room, she's like, oh, wow.
No offense, but you wore that shirt last night.
She does say it kind of like that Kristen girl. Yeah.
My mom, me. That's awesome.
So it's like there's plenty of hard things and many things I could complain about. But I mean, in terms of just like, I didn't really consider like how funny and fun it is.
Some kid that lived on my hall just came back to grab some stuff. He was moving out, and he just had a kid. I think maybe 5 months now. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Dude, he's like, and he so did not strike me as the type of guy that was gonna have a kid.
Yeah.
And he just was like, it's the best, man. He's like, you get to be a kid all over again. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't really heard it described like that. And I'm like, wow, that's a really good pitch.
Yeah, I didn't really consider that part. I mean, I kind of thought my fear and kind of like resentment about it, I was like, I was just like, the kind of moms on Instagram, they post stuff like, it's always like about wine, like box wine is my juice box or something. And I'm like, do I have to have like the sense of humor of like a weather girl from Toledo or something? I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to have like a mom act like, and then I was like, I hate parks. You know, I've always kind of not had fun in parks, and I always assume when women push swings that they need to be rescued somehow. Like,
So
it's kind of a
funny.
sad, monotonous activity.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking about all these things, and I was like, I'm not going to enjoy this, or I won't
Whoa.
enjoy that. But then I saw when I have a kid, it's like I still hate parks. I just like her. Like you're still exactly the same,
Cool.
but you do your own things with them. You know, so I didn't suddenly like start posting like wine memes or whatever, like mommy need your wine, you know. Wine o'clock. I didn't
There's
start
probably some good ones
suddenly-
out there. Did you
I'm sure
at least
there are
look them
some
up and
pleasing
put
ones,
some in like
actually.
the, you know, in
it's
the
funny
back
you say
burner?
that actually because I did like this ad for a wine company recently, and I was like, oh, there are some pretty good ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it, sure, but I realized like I feel like once I became a parent that you just do it. You're still absolutely yourself. I'm still absolutely a child, and I feel like the babysitter. Like when I tell her the things you tell before you leave, that she doesn't like really believe in me as an adult, or that monologue. Like I'm like, and so and she's kind of like dismisses me. She's like, we're good. Like, you know, I'm still the same asshole, but it's just like you relate with it the way you do, you know. And she's really funny.
How is your comedy? And not just change, but just like your approach to it. Do you find yourself like, because you have, you know, now another life to look after, like is the balance of time? How did you write, I guess, pre-baby and post-baby?
I've never really had like much of a system for writing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have. Like I'm teeming with ADD. I lose a debit card every week, so I'm like shedding debit
Come
cards.
here, please.
You too?
That's why I was at the passport place today. Like
I have lost
that's
my
a second passport
so many times.
My driver's license. I mean, debit card. I mean, it's.
You do this too?
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm down to my last one. I have one passport. I just got it. I'm so free because I have nothing else. Like I've lost everything else. You do this too?
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, the debit cards and the driver's license was so stupid too, because it was just like I had a big ass George Costanza wall like all through high school, and it was just like, what am I doing with like Subway stamp cards and change, and then I was like, I need to just. And then when I would go on stage, I was like, I'd go to the show and I go, I don't like carrying a lot of shit, so I was like, I'll just put my card and my ID in my pants. And it's not like I was getting fucked up and just like, you know, my pants come off and it's like I just lost it, but it was just like, you know, even sitting weird, they'd fall into a green room couch or on the airplane, or I'd shove a cash in there and then take the cash out to buy some, you know, Tums at Hudson News, and then all of a sudden the ID falls out there. It was just like really careless behavior. But so now I got a little card thing that, so if I lose it, it'll be all at once. It's just like a little I guess card holder. It's just for like because you can get the ones that go on the back of the phone, but I was like, if I lose all of it in one, that'll ruin me.
It's so hard though. I live like that, and then there's so much guilt all the time because I feel like I'm like.
Do you use a notebook for writing, or are you in the phone?
No, I text myself. Stuff, but like I don't really have a great system. It's more just like usually what happens is what's happened in the past is I've gotten this special before I've kind of fully written it, and so I'll send a tape that's kind of half-assed, and then once I have that deadline of like having to shoot a special, then I'll frantically write. First, I like imagine, you know, so, like hope for some sort of disaster, like maybe there'll be a fire and I won't have to shoot the special or whatever. And so I pray for a fire, and then I just like write last minute, you know. But I don't really have an organized system. It's more like I tell my friends stories, and then they're like, "Oh, you should try that on stage or this on stage," and then I go on stage and practice it. But I will say, like, after having a baby, your time you have like this time to that time. So I wasted a lot more time before because I would just like lay around and stare at the same 9 people on Instagram or just weird haunting Instagram loops and stuff. Yeah. But now there's not as much time for that because I know like, from 12 to 5, I have to
get it all done.
Yeah. So it has helped my ADD in that way, except that now I have her stuff and my stuff. So it's a lot of stuff and I'm losing wildly.
Yeah.
It's not really okay.
Are you writing about her?
I just started to like I just started to talk about her more on stage, but it's weird. Yeah, I haven't like fully talked about it because I think I'm still like I haven't been a lot of places with her because like in COVID we were just inside staring at her, so I didn't have a ton of experiences out with her. So now I'm just starting to like take her places and meet other parents and stuff, and I still just relate to comics the most because I feel like I always take a big swing with somebody, and I'm like I shouldn't have said that. Like, you know, do you feel like that sometimes?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Do you have like other? I know Amy Schumer's a good friend of yours, right?
Yeah.
And is her baby or son?
Her son,
close in age.
He's like a year older than Frankie, my daughter. So
how is that? I always hear people just say like having buds that have kids is just like the coolest because then you're like, you know, they're gonna be friends, right? Because you're gonna spend time around each other. But is there also, did you go to her for like advice, or is that something you were just like?
Oh no, definitely.
People were coming. Okay, cool.
I ask everybody for advice.
Yeah.
Some people get really offended when I'm like, no, tell me what to do. I love advice. I like people to tell me I only have one choice because I can't make choices. So like, I like somebody to be like, you have to use this shampoo or all your hair will fall out.
Yeah,
Like, I need
give me
somebody
some
to
structure.
direct me. Yes,
I'm
we
the
need
same
structure,
way.
right?
Yeah.
I'll take any
I don't have to
tips.
figure it out. I fucking have no clue. I know I'm the same way because you know, people do get, I think, somewhat perturbed about when they're like, okay, so this is what you need to be on the lookout for, and it's like, yeah, there are going to be some things that fall through the cracks where you're like, that's your experience. Like, you know, I'm gonna give my baby Pop-Tarts, so I don't fucking thank you though for that. But that's cool that you're open to that because I feel like you just, I don't know, everybody's more or less, especially in this stage, probably like going through the same shit, right? Like,
yeah,
as
and
far
I don't
as,
think I like know, and I'm not really a researcher, so I didn't read any books about having a kid. My husband dealt with all his like anxiety of having a kid as he would watch these YouTube tutorials. Like, I can't watch them.
God, that's such a dude move, isn't it?
No, he watches about everything. Whenever we're going to bed, he's always watching somebody like build a deck or something. I'm like, can we not fucking watch this right now? It's wildly boring.
Oh my God.
When we got a car, it was like months of him watching like video of different cars on terrain. I was like, this will make me kill myself. I can't watch cars drive on gravel any longer.
You're getting ready to throw like a carton of milk at it. It's like, whoa, save that. I just watched a video of how we can build a boat out of milk cartons. You're like,
yeah,
that's a real thing, by the way.
And it was like, is it really?
Yeah, my buddy Jonathan Stevens, his dad Lee Stevens, when we were in high school, would save milk cartons because in Seattle every summer there was a milk carton derby race on I think in Green Lake, and he would enter it. And guess what? The boat would always fall apart immediately upon touching water. But he would collect the downstairs. His playroom was lined with milk cartons.
I respect that he would collect them.
Me
though.
too.
It's really fascinating.
He also would say easy on the door because his Subaru, the door was always fucked up. So if you slammed it, it was like one good high school dumb shit slam away from just falling off. And we would always all forget and slam it and hear him through the car as it was close go, fuck.
Are you still friends with him?
Oh, yeah.
It's really funny because I could hear that slam and I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, yeah. He was, I mean, shit. There was a kick. One day we were at the lake down near the Albertsons where I worked in high school, and I got off and I met them over at the lake. I was the only one with a job because I was the first one to get a car. Turned like 16 at the end of freshman year of high school. So I go down there to meet them. We're all figuring out our plan to pack into my little, box 88 Chevy Spectrum, and there was a kickstand in my backpack at some point from hanging out, and it had fallen off my friend Jonathan's bike. And I just found a kickstand in my backpack and just was like, what the fuck is this? And then just threw it in the lake. And we get back to Jonathan's house, and he's like, hey, Dad, Adam threw my kickstand. Waited till we got home. It was like, Adam threw my kickstand in the lake. And his dad fucking lost it on me. It was like, who the fuck throws? And I was like, what would you do if you just found a kickstand in your backpack? He's like, I don't know. Ask whose it was. I was like, good point. All right. Bad move on my part. I probably just, reacted too quickly. But
were you scared of his dad? Have you ever talked to him about that?
I definitely was. Although he always called me Tom Tozzle because freshman year I played Tom Tozzle in the Nancy Drew Girl Detective play that our high school did.
I used to love Nancy Drew. No way.
Oh, I was the villain. Freshman year was my first play in high school, and so he came and I had to dress up like a woman to try to fool Nancy Drew. And his sister at the time was like obsessed with the play. So you're like a bona fide celeb in like to these elementary school kids.
You probably pulled a lot of ass those days, huh? The Nancy Drew.
If I was more sophomore year, I made out with a girl that was a senior when I played Danny Zuko in Grease, and that was the first. I feel
like you were an early closer. You did probably well during those years.
Could have.
If you were on stage,
missed my chance. Missed my chance. I was again mama's boy, too afraid. I honestly saw the college. I think is where I more became like, oh, okay, cool. It's like this, and just got a little more confidence.
Yeah.
But I was so. I guess I saw the guys that were such. Just
slick.
Yeah. And none of them were like cool to me. They were all so slimy and sleek. And I saw the way that they were revered, and I was like, maybe I'll just be like, I don't know. I just didn't. And I think also just having the mom and not having.
So you had probably had more female friends or better relationships with women early on?
I think so. I just had more, a lot more trepidations about like just being fit. Like, I don't know, just like, I was like very like, is this okay? And definitely lost a couple girlfriends because they're like, fucking touch my tits already. And I was like, oh, is this all right? You know,
never ending process of consent.
For sure. Definitely wanting to, just so nervous, truly.
Yes.
But
I remember a guy coming over once that was like that, where I gave him. Well, I used to have a joke about it, but I would have these things where I would call my friends used to call them my Christian sleepovers, but I'd be like, you could sleep over, but you know, we can't have sex. But then I would tell them ahead of time. I would be like, listen, if I was you, I would not take this deal. Like if I was your sexual attorney, I would recommend not to come over. But so I would really outline like there's very little for you in this.
Yeah.
But it was more just because I was like nervous, you know, and I wanted to like get to know the guy. I wasn't trying to play a game with him. And again, I was like, listen, if I were you, I would not come. This, you know, it's going to be like maybe some titties and that's it.
Yeah.
Exactly, because she won't be coming. But I didn't mean it to play a game. It's just because I knew that if I slept with him right away, I would like, you know, get too attached or whatever.
Good for you to know that.
But I do remember that like one guy, we had like 4 Christian sleepovers. And at this point I was like, I mean,
what am I doing?
Yeah, we can go forward. Like I thought I'd given him all the clues, but he was just paralyzed. You know, I'm like,
so you guys would just lay there and just.
He was like, I remember one time he wore full pajamas, like giant New York Giants pajamas. Which, first of all, I'm like, who wears like you wear your boxers and like no shirt?
Come on, man!
Right?
Like, make this at least be a couple steps ahead.
Yeah,
put yourself in a position.
Yeah, I mean, the pajamas were like an extra barrier. Like to me, they said, "I don't want to be inside you." At this point, I was like, you have buttoned up PJs that you.
Who in high school gets into bed with a girl that they want to have penetration with? Sex. That was a creepy way of saying it. And puts on more clothing.
Yeah. So it's possible that he just didn't want to have sex with me, or maybe he wasn't.
Maybe he was just nervous. Maybe he was also just trying to be like, or I don't know, maybe he was playing hard to get.
Maybe my Christian sleepovers confused him so much that he just wore those. But the Giants pajamas were a strange barrier.
Did you say anything about being a Giants fan? Was that his way of trying to be like, hey?
That's a good question. I don't think I ever addressed
your family, no?
But he would just be like, I'd be like, so ready for bed? And then he'd be like, just a sec.
Just a sec. Let me go slip into something more comfortable. He really did.
And then he would put on Giants PJs. Yeah.
That's fucking adorable. Yeah, okay, so when your act outs, this is so fascinating to me. You're such a good joke writer, such a good performer. Your delivery is great. You're just a great comic. And I feel like the joke writing part is consistent with New York comics, right? Where people say like, you guys just are I don't know, more so than like maybe the storytellers, or at least for me, what I think of now when I think of people from New York comics are people that I definitely admire, where I'm like, man, I wish I had that brain as far as like the way you guys construct your jokes, where I'm more stories and act outs and quick things and crowd work and whatever. But I feel like you do all of that. So how, like with characters and act outs, your act outs are so great. And I feel like I can't name like a ton of New York comics that have that part of the arsenal. You know what I'm saying? Whether they want to or not, I just feel like when you're telling a story, you like become the people in it, which is like always awesome. But some people just don't.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can do that too. Yeah, you probably always could, right? You just
I mean that was just from acting first and then on the stage, and so then just taking. Also, yeah, I just feel like why would you? And you're probably the same way when you're telling a story.
You want to show them
innately,
the person.
Yeah, you're just like, how do I want this story to. Not even for the sake of like, oh, if this goes over well with my friends, I could take it to the stage. But you're like, I want right now the story to be. Anytime anyone is telling a story ever, by the way, you should want it to crush. Because otherwise, you're wasting everybody's time. So give it your all. And if it is like you know, I hate people when they even stop. They go, and then the guy behind the counter was like, well, I don't want to do. I'm like, no, just try to do whatever that voice was, because even that's going to be funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Just try. Yes, I know. But people don't do voices, so it's probably just like you or I trying to build a deck or something. Or maybe you can build decks. I don't know.
No, I'm definitely going to watch that. If you can have your husband send me that link. In fact, send me all those links. Except for the terrain one. That one I could probably do without. But
I don't even know what kind of car we have. How funny is that? I don't know. And I'm in it all the time. But if you ask me, because I am like car dumb, I can't find cars in parking lots. I'd say it's bluish. If he watched this right now, he'd be appalled, because he talked to me about it so much. I just wanted the conversations to stop. I don't know what kind of...
I just saw a great reality or game show with you where it's like Insomniac meets like Supermarket Sweep, where you're hosting it, trying to get people to find their cars in like Costco or Target parking lots. And maybe there's some sort of game on the way to finding their car, almost like Cash Cab. If they can answer a certain amount of questions before they find their car, because everybody gets lost.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of car we have. Like,
Hilarious.
We just got it. Because he talked to me about it so much, I would just
No interest.
disassociate and go to like a meadow where it was safe in my head.
You're just like, what, you're concerned with comedy, baby, like, is that stuff just never been
Yeah,
part
I'm
of your
not
brain?
too practical,
Yeah.
clearly. I'm losing everything. There has to be one of that kind of person in any relationship. And my husband, like, fills out a form and then puts it back in the envelope and then mails it.
I love that.
Like, when something comes in the mail, like, we have to fill this out. Like, to me, that'll never... I'm more likely to kill my entire family
very
than myself
similar.
to then fill out a form, put it back in the right envelope. The envelope would be covered with debris. The form would be like it.
I still haven't
yeah.
voted for secretary in 1994 when I was in the 4th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ballot is still sitting unmarked and unopened because I just fucking see it and I go, I'll get to it later.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? What is that?
I don't fill out forms. It's like the same reason I wildly failed in school. I was like an emergency moron.
You weren't
in
good.
school. No. Yeah.
But
Were you?
I mean,
You got by.
Certain
Yeah.
subjects, but I would always try to, I mean, like Spanish, you know, like took 3 years, would always make dumb videos to get by with and make the teacher laugh.
Like what kind
And
of
then
videos?
crim, like, oh shit, I don't know. I dressed up and got a whole get up and like went outside Starbucks and like did some man on the street stuff and then played songs like
That's
at
cool
this.
that you had that level of like, you were like a producer, like that you would even think to create like that. Like it's a cool kind of confidence that you had. Like you made little mini TV shows.
Well, we did my sophomore year of high school. We took over. Our freshman year. They started a news network at the high school that was run by like just seniors that were like thought they were hilarious and they weren't. But they had like 2 people behind a desk doing like, there's a dance coming up this Friday and like make sure you ask so you don't not have somebody to go with. Anyway, here's Jacob with sports, and then he'd be outside being like football games Friday, and it was just that. And my buddy and I saw it and we were like, what the fuck? Like they're airing this in every TV in the school. So we took it over sophomore year, and by senior year, which we did all 3 years, it was like a 20-minute sketch show that we like full on, I mean,
curated and,
yeah.
like edited.
And some
like,
teachers were like, we're not airing this. It's 20 minutes of class. But it was, we got a kid who came in that was really good because we were filming everything. So then he filmed it. Then we had another kid edit everything, and I would stay after and go early.
So you were delegating. You were doing exactly what you should do when you have a learning, disability, or just like a different style of brain. You were finding people that could do this, and you had them do this, and you like. You did that really early on. Like, it's cool that you had the confidence that you were able to create like that. Figure out what part you would need somebody else to manage for you.
Yeah,
you know.
That was way more fun, and I was like, I know I need to go in early to like figure out math so I get a good grade so that I can get into college. But I was like, I'd go in early to like finish editing some dumb sketch where we had like a new football coach. It was like a whole sketch to like promote the football game. But I had this whole wig and all this thing to come in, and it was like this big.
Meanwhile, I was just dripping down the hallway.
Hey, everybody had their purpose.
And then did you then go to did you right away when you went to college know you were going to do comedy and stuff? Like, did you?
Not really. Not until. I did 2 open mics in Seattle before I moved, just so I could say like I did it, and so I came to LA being like I've done stand up, just to really not feel intimidated to start here, which I did. And then didn't do it. Did maybe 2 frat parties in college. Again, just feeling like, I've done stand-up, so I could do it. Just doing 30 minutes before bands with just bombing so hard.
It's so hard to compete with music. People will always choose music.
And the
over
bands
comedy,
always started late, so nobody wanted me
terrible.
up there.
No, I've been on stage before, and people screaming songs at me, like misunderstanding. They just were like, "Why would your body be standing there for any other purpose?" People would be like, "Free bird, bitch." I'm like, I can't do that.
I was going to ask you, what are some of the craziest, or just at one moment in general, whether it's coming up now or like in the last couple years, where you're like
wild bombs.
Not bombs, but like even a heckler situation, right? I know in New York, like LA, can have more of those than not because of just the amount of changeover of crowds and new people always coming in and people just being fucked up and hot shows, so people just get out of their element.
I've had so many weird ones. I've had I know one of my earliest ones was I had just started stand up, and I was really young, and I was somebody had given me the advice that if you're having a bad set on stage, to say the most honest thing that comes to your mind, and that the crowd would like respect that honesty, which is good advice for somebody who's maybe more of a veteran and would know how to do that. But like when you're wildly bombing and you're like an active mess the way you are when you start, and you're just like, it's a full breakdown, people are watching, and then you're like, you want to pull the curtain back and know more of me? They don't want that. They're like, no, we already hate you. We're not curious about what makes you tick behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I was on stage just terribly bombing. And it was called like The Nasty Show. And everybody, I went on after Tracy Morgan, and he did like 20 minutes about how to fuck a bitch, right? And just really how to fuck a bitch proper. And then he dissects into very like well-organized sections. And I learned a lot, actually.
How can you not?
How can you not? And he was slaying, like crushing. People pulled on his clothes when he got off. Like it was the kind of like killing where it was like people wanted to just touch his arm afterwards, you know? Like, and then...
How do you feel when you're watching this?
I was terrified. I was like, but I was nervous because I was nervous, but I didn't really understand how bad it was going to be. Because the host was like, you want to go up? Because he knew whoever was going on right then was going to bomb. He didn't even have the host do a few minutes. There was nobody around that would have been like seasoned enough to know how to like slowly get the crowd to get over Tracy and like, guide them. And there was nothing. So I get on stage, bomb. I think I did like a grandma voice. They're like, fuck off. We don't care about your dumb grandma. And then I just was pulling characters out of a hat with like no writing. I was just like, how about this fun-loving broad? And they're like, no, she stinks too.
God.
And then I stopped and I was like, take that comic's advice and say the most honest thing that comes to your mind, which again, they didn't care. They didn't want to know a little more about me. They actively hated me and they wanted Tracy back. So then I was like, it's my 23rd birthday. And this woman goes 23 years of not being funny.
Oh my God.
And by the way,
the place
audience
goes nuts.
went insane.
Oh, God.
And then I still remember she high-fived her entire table. Like she had to collect high fives.
She goes, now that's how you fuck a bitch. And you're like, no, she called back the previous comic's whole premise and everything. Oh, God.
Then she did like a Chinese fire drill around her table. Like she had to do a victory lap where everybody was just
There's nothing you can say
her.
to get her to sit down and stop high-fiving.
No, there was nothing.
That train is moving.
And I had to do like 6 minutes after that, and then got off stage. You know the kind of bomb where like it's like your depth perception's affected. I had to like hold things to get. I was actively traumatized because I hadn't done stand-up that long. I didn't understand how to recover at any level.
Wow.
It was like
Did anybody say anything to you after? Like,
I don't think so. I think it was people really don't want to look at me in the eyes. You know, like it was. I needed to get out of the building. It was an emergency. You know when you just need to get out.
Oh yeah.
The worst thing is when you bomb. Like early on, I would bomb, and I always do these shows where there would be some sort of after jam, and then I would just be stuck at the after jam, just like snacking, and nobody wanted to be around me. Just eating chicken sticks or like French fries or mozzarella sticks. Remember, there was like a table of food after it'd be like a banquet kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and everybody would just be like hanging out after celebrating their great sets, and then I would just be there like.
You're making comments about like the food, and that's like, oh, that's how you know it didn't go well.
You didn't, yeah.
Like you followed Tracy, huh?
It wasn't your night, yeah. So there would be that, and then I would, just have to kind of stay and sit in it. Another really big bomb I had was, I love bombing.
Yeah.
Was I was at I'm not name dropping, but I was playing at the Hebrew Home for the Aging in the Bronx, and this woman stood up in the middle.
Wait a second. Who books that? Who books that? Is it Rabbi Hirsch or Rabbi Singer?
Singer books it.
Text me after.
Put a word in.
Put a word in, please.
I'll tell him about it.
Tell him I'm circumcised.
I'll do what I can do. You know, I can't hand you the gig, but I'll tell him who you are.
I'll sign a yarmulke for him, or like, you know, I don't know.
I'll do what I can because, it was quite a night. I mean, I knew that I was going to bomb, but I was like, I'll make $200 and go play this aging home.
Why'd you know you were going to bomb?
I just figured,
an aging home. Yeah, right. I know.
I have maybe 4 minutes, and I don't know what these people were like in the winter of their lives. Like they were almost gone.
What's that crowd work like? Yeah.
And and they all had walkers. So I guess you get to a certain age, and I guess everybody just had to have a walker. It was like a mandatory walker because they were just dropping like flies. So,
oh my God, that's our future.
They all shook their walkers, and I'll never forget just that feeling of just like a sea of walkers being shook at you in defiance. I didn't even know that was a way you could express rejection. Was to shake a walker angrily at somebody.
Oh, wasn't there a way of like laughing?
Yeah, that was their way of saying like enough, like get out.
Oh, oh my God! Yes. I thought it was like they. First of all, the fact that you're saying they were doing this, like insane upper body strength on these old people.
They were pulling them like maybe they weren't over their heads.
Okay,
they were rattling
maybe. Okay,
and
yeah.
kind of picking them up, like, and what they were trying to say was get out.
I thought that was a way of being like, we can't move our mouth to laugh, so we're gonna shake it, and that'll.
No, they wanted me out. They were like,
And then making those faces. They can still do that. You could read the faces.
They were probably, now that I think about it, they're probably trying to get out. Like, they're probably trying to, like, get themselves
Hilarious.
started.
But they were all just ramming into each other. Oh, my God. You're like, oh. So what do you comment on that? Or you're just like.
I don't know what I said. Whatever I said was awful. Oh. And then this guy stood up and he goes, this is my Friday evening. And to this day, it hurts more than anything I've ever heard. Because I know what he meant. Like, he's like, bitch. I have maybe 3 Fridays left, and you are fucking up one of them. It still hurts so bad.
Oh my God. You took my second to last Friday with your bullshit about how to fuck a bitch. Oh my God.
Exactly. And they were all talking back to me. This woman was like, I don't understand what cock blocking even means. I don't know what she's referring to.
What did she say? Twat what? Yeah, also that there's like that extra chatter. My mom was an activities coordinator at an old folks home, and I went back and did a little thing for one of them.
I love that that's what Puddles did. I love
Puddin'.
Puddin',
yeah.
Puddles
is a great
really
name for a dog, but yeah, maybe not a mom.
Really dumb. You were so nice.
She was a
about
clown.
That. Puddles is
Puddin'
unacceptable.
Puddin' is close for just hearing the name for the first time. But I went there, and it was the same thing where they would mumble a lot under their breath, and this is what also sucks about performing at like an old folks home. Mm-hmm. Like, again, I had maybe 3 minutes that could be of any
use to
anyone.
Right.
And so think about how crippling it is. Probably a different word I could use, but like where I'm trying to get through any bit and I just hear, and I was like, so, but anyway, my mom's pretty cool, and I would just like power through and then like look over my bag. Do we check on that? And a guy would just like freeze. And man, yeah, your story was better. But hey guys, Adam Ray here for the About Last Night podcast. Hope you're enjoying this episode. Obviously, it's a very difficult time for everyone right now. We're all challenged in finding a day-to-day routine that makes our lives consistent and awesome. And if there's something that's interfering with your happiness right now or preventing you from achieving your goals, BetterHelp Online Counseling is there for you. BetterHelp is a professional counseling service, online, private, and it's so convenient. I've used it for a little bit now. It's truly the only way that I've found to help get my own issues dealt with on my own time, at my own pace. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your licensed professional counselor right now. They're specialized in depression, anger, stress, anxiety, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief or relationships, sleeping, which I have a lot of trouble with, trauma, self-esteem. Anything that you share with them is confidential. And guess what? If you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, at any time, you can request a new one for no additional charge. There's 3,000 U.S. licensed therapists across all 50 states, available worldwide. And again, there's 4 ways to communicate with them: text, chat, phone, and video. You can start communicating in under 24 hours. It's available on any desktop, mobile web, Android, and iOS apps. Schedule a video or phone session, generally weekly, unless your therapist schedules more. Unless you just are really not sleeping and need to get some additional chats in. There's broad expertise in the network, which may not be locally available in many areas. Financial aid is available for those who qualify. It's secure, it's convenient, it's professional, and above all, it's affordable. All right, it's truly the most affordable option I found. So right now, all ALN listeners are going to get 10% off your first month with a discount code AboutLastNight. So why not get started today and start making some changes for the better in your life? You deserve it. So go to BetterHelp.com/AboutLastNight. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor that you'll love. That's BetterHelp.com/AboutLastNight. BetterHelp.com/AboutLastNight and get 10% off your first month with promo code AboutLastNight. And now, back to the episode. Those types of gigs you take because you want the money, you want the experience.
Yeah.
You're thinking like, Did you get this too? Like when you start out, where you're like, I just gotta do it all because like experience is where, like, right?
Yes.
Like you can't really say no to a gig. I gotta just
Yeah.
get
And
better by
somehow like there's this idea like, yeah, I should walk into the most abusive, alarming situations, and I don't know if there's any worth to any of that. I mean, some degree, sure, but I think like I might have lightened up on myself because I mean, also when you're on the road and you're just hurling yourself to these weird gigs and situations, like sometimes it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think like I didn't give myself enough like just, you know, like breaks from this is an insane thing to do to yourself, to do to your own psyche, just to put yourself through this like mentally. I wonder who I would have become had I not done that to myself.
no shit.
Like I'd probably be a lot more well-adjusted.
Do you like the road?
No, I don't like the road, but I've begun to do it in a way that I could like manage, you know, like a little bit of like I can't be on the road every weekend. I'll lose my mind. Yeah. And we bring like my daughter now and stuff like that. Do you like the road?
Yes and no.
Like, how do you do it? Do you have like a system for it?
Yeah, I mean, the last few weekends have been really fun.
Yeah.
But then prior to that, I was definitely like, oh, maybe I should just be in LA for a while. And, you know, like I've had a good run of acting stuff in the last year, so that's kept me here. Mm-hmm. But it depends. Like I'm sure the same way, like opening for people in big theater tours and stuff like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But
it depends on the gig. Yeah, there's comedy cities like you know, like Austin's always like super fun.
Yeah.
And there's like Madison, Wisconsin. So you just go to these cool weird places and they'll have an incredible room, an incredible weekend. You just never know. But then I always feel, but I couldn't just live on the road like that.
I'm starting to get though like over like I used to be so jazzed to like go to new hotels.
Yeah.
And just kind of, and there are certain places where I will just be really excited to like get stuff done that I was putting off during the week because I have no reason not to and no distractions. But then I immediately meet that with like, oh, you never go out and like fart around the city, so like go do that.
Yeah.
But then I'll go do something, and then I'm just like, all right, well, I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like my buddy Sandy Danto came with me. We just went to this new Dania Improv in Fort Lauderdale, and we went to watch football at a place called Twin Peaks. And Sandy was wearing a Hooters shirt. He's a little John Belushi looking fellow, real sweet. He's got all these vintage shirts, Sesame Street shirts, whatever. And he's wearing a Hooters shirt that was like definitely like from like the 80s. And the gals, Twin Peaks is like Hooters' rival, and they were all like giving him shit about it.
Really? I didn't know that. They're competing.
Yeah.
Right, Hooters and Twin Peaks.
Yeah. So they are all
That's
like,
hilarious.
nice shirt, psych. One of them said that. I was like, very funny. And then two different gals came by and like were like, cool shirt. And he went to high five them, and they pulled their hand away and didn't even smile. They walked right past him.
How hurtful. He
Yeah.
didn't know. He
No.
wasn't. What's his name again?
Sandy Danto.
Sandy, I just want to say if you're listening right
He's a
now,
sweetie.
You didn't know no
He's
better.
a father to two,
I'm sorry
two
that
little
happened to you
girls.
that
Yeah,
night.
he was.
And that's a delightful T-shirt.
Yeah.
I hope Sandy's since healed because that upsets me. Was he? How did you say you know him again?
Oh, just from stand-up. So he opens
stand-up.
for me.
He's a comedian.
Great
He's another
comic, great dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's it was even when he came over, he was like, should I wear this shirt there? And I was like, yeah. What's gonna happen? They're gonna fucking kick us out. But like, definitely very hostile. I didn't realize there was such a rivalry between the Hooters, Twin Peaks.
It's really,
franchises.
That's really funny that they're so avid, like wildly against each other. I think there's room for both. There should be space for both.
There should. There's enough room for everybody.
Yes,
There's
I
enough
think
shirts and tanks. How do you view those places? Do you ever like? I remember Nate Bargatze and I did some weird college about 10 years ago together, and it was in Tucson, and the only thing that opened was like a Hooters next to the thing. We went, we got beers, but we both kind of giggled like fucking 10-year-old boys because
I
we
think
were
I'd
just
still be that excited if I went to do Hooters.
Yeah.
Like it'd still be that exciting.
Yeah.
Like just the socks, all of it, and those. Yeah, I'd probably enjoy like looking at all of it. Yeah. And I've always wanted to like have that kind of confidence that I could just wear like, short shorts and like high man socks. I'd look like a wild asshole in that outfit. But no, I'm all for it. Why not?
Wait, did you have jobs before stand-up?
Yes, I worked at Dry Clean USA, speaking of name dropping.
Whoa.
Yeah. I come from money, obviously. Old money.
Did you get hooked up? You got to get discounts at a dry, right? Like you get.
I guess Dry Clean USA, yes. Like he didn't always dry clean the clothes though. I think I could say this now. I can out Roger so many years after I worked there. Of
course it's Roger.
He was washing them. Roger was washing the clothes.
Oh God.
And then they would come complain. And then Roger used to go, tell you what you do. You got a problem? You write to the board of dry cleaning. Like, it was something no one was ever going to fucking do. No one's going to write to that board, Roger, you asshole.
No.
And he'd be like, you could write a letter to, maybe my husband would, because he could fill out things like that. He would write to the board of dry cleaning, and then he'd be like, listen, Pam, you don't think I dry cleaned it? Then the board can decide. And then he used to go,
take it to the judge.
Take
over
it to
a
the
blouse.
judge of the dry cleaning something association. And the people would just be like,
that's not a real thing. Yeah,
they would
fuck
walk
off.
out, maybe think they were going to do that for a moment and never do it. You know?
No one has that time.
Yeah, he was kind of an asshole, Roger. And then afterwards, I remember one time he dry cleaned something. I mean, he washed something, and somebody was like, you dry clean this. And it was also a really lovely woman who was like frequently coming in there and gave him lots of business. And she's like, Roger, you washed and ruined my sweater. Very reasonable complaint. And I remember she walked out and Roger goes, see that lady there? She can lick the sweat off my hoo-haws. I still think,
And he's back.
I still think that phrase still rings in my heart.
It's a T-shirt. Tell that
She
story,
could
make
lick
that
the
shirt
sweat
off
my hoo-ha. Meanwhile, that kind of lick sweat off hoo-has, that sort of anger should be reserved for somebody that really screwed you over. But this woman just wanted him to wash her sweater properly.
Salty, man, yeah.
Yeah, no, Roger was, he was a real asshole.
Well, customer service will do that to you.
Yeah.
I worked at the customer service booth at Albertsons, and the amount of just stupidity that I received definitely made me go, thick skin for just, the human behavior, but also like, wow, overwhelming, like, holy shit. Like,
yeah,
it's a great way to just like broaden your exposure to people that just, I mean, the pandemic was a great thing for that, where it was like you see people coming out being like, coronavirus, corona beer. The people that made the beer made the virus. And you're like, okay, forgot we had you. Thanks for showing up, Randy. Thanks for tweeting that. Because that's insane. But
I've never heard that theory. That's really hilarious.
Oh, for real?
The people that made the virus made the beer. I don't know why. How did I live through this and not know this? Did
I
you
don't know how
this?
common that was, but I was in
I
Dallas.
keep looking at him. Like, let's go to a caller. Does everybody do that, or am I the first one that just keeps referring to
That
you?
was the weekend I was in Dallas when things shut down, and I started elbowing people, and the guy was he's like, elbow. He's like, what, are you fucking gay? I was like, no, I was just trying to start doing something like that I felt like we're supposed to start doing. I was like, I wasn't going to like hit your bow and then try to like get a little extra. And he was like, all right, And then some guy at one of the shows screamed out that it was, I don't even drink the beer. And I was like, and then I went into it and I was like, what? And he was just like, the beer. And I was just like, I'm going to give you benefit of the doubt on this and just say that you're fucked up and you're, also, I think maybe you're trying to be funny. And then kept going in and he was like, no. And then everything about the guy was just, Tom Hanks fucking is a pedophile,
Oh, no.
He's pretty good at, playing a kid in Big. You're like, what?
He thought he was a pedophile? It's so funny, the thing about people thinking everyone's pedophiles. It's so fascinating.
It's so fascinating. It's also hilarious because the more that it's just talked about also, it's just like, I don't know, you got a small amount of time here on Earth. When you're doing podcasts, you're doing anything, don't you want to talk about silly, goofy shit, like, other than trying to break down, like, does Hillary Clinton, like, drink kids' blood? Like, I don't know. That's just my take.
No, it's funny how people, like,
I get it. It's like clickbait, and it's like, there are a lot of people that do give a fuck about that, or at least want to try to, like, break it down.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
No, but it's exhausting to me. Sometimes I'll get, like, I got in an Uber a while ago and the guy was like, asked me what I did and I made the mistake of saying I was a comic and he's like, you can't say anything anymore. And I agreed with that, of course. I'm like, yes, it's annoying. You can't say anything. And then it was like, he skipped like 2 beats before he was just like, the Democrats are eating babies. And I'm like, wait, how did that become that? How did, yes, we should be able to say, like, not get in trouble for everything we say, turn into me somehow just like co-signing that people are eating babies.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fair.
Also, that's like, come on, that's not
like snacking on babies? Like, yes, we shouldn't get in trouble for saying fuck, but like, or for saying whatever, what you would actually get. I don't know. You get in trouble for a lot now.
Shouldn't the Uber drivers be also taking a page out of the show Taxi Cab Confessionals and go, look, maybe not everything needs to be said. Like, learn from like the people before you. Uber, like, take that upon yourself to be like more accountable with your banter. Like, and also, whatever happened to taking shit to the grave? Just think that in your head, man. You're just saying this as like small talk.
It's wild.
How many out of 10
he took?
How many people prior to you did he definitely say that to?
He tried to. Because I guess if you think everybody's like eating bait, you must be like, I don't know. But it was a lot. Yeah, I was like, I can't. walk down this lane with you. I do feel like that kind of. I should say this before I forgot to talk about this, so I should quickly talk about this before I get out of here.
Yeah.
So the kind of like I just want to be stupid and like goofy and ridiculous. I don't want to. I can't take the level of seriousness that everybody has now. You know, like seriousness about eating babies. And my mom will be like, whenever I talk to my mom, she'll be like, you know, did I tell you who has COVID-19? Like my mom still says the 19. Yeah. Like, I'm like, no one says the 19 anymore. Just stop it. My mom still calls it like the novel coronavirus. Like everybody likes to be, people get so intense so quick right now. And during COVID and everything, I realized I have to quickly mention this because I forgot.
Please.
Came here to talk about it.
Yep.
During COVID, the thing that got me through COVID was making this prank album.
Yes.
Because that's what I used to do when I was a kid. I would just like prank strangers. And like that was my favorite thing.
We're living like just similar lives.
You did too? That was my
pranked
favorite
Seattle sports
thing.
radio stations. I pranked sex hotlines. Keep going. We'll talk about this off air or do an album. Talk about the album. Talk about doing it. Yeah.
All I want to do is more of this because like I was stuck in COVID. I was missing comedians. You know, my husband's a firefighter on the job and I'm like 8 months pregnant. And I was like losing my mind. And then Jessica Kirson, who's like, you know, one of my dearest friends and hysterically funny comic. And she has that familiar feeling to me where I'm like, I feel like we went to camp together, but we didn't. You know what I mean? Like that just familiar, like I could have grown up with you feeling.
Your energies are perfect together.
She's so fun and silly, just ridiculous. Yes. Like she doesn't take herself seriously and neither do I. And we would just started, she's like, we just talked about it, like, let's just prank strangers. And we would just call up strangers and prank them and tape it on Zoom. And I started having so much fun again. I went from like rocking, just fearful by a window, just like wandering around like in a nightgown like everybody was, just like weirdly depressed.
I bought so many nightgowns. Yeah. I mean, I can say this safely here because I feel comfortable in front of you. Too many nightgowns. And wore them during the day. I was all fucked up.
I've always wanted to see you tonight. I came here mainly to say that, to drink liquid death and announce that to you, finally. I can't hold it any longer. Yeah. But I felt like we just made this silly, fun thing. That's awesome. People were cool about it, and they were good sports, and they signed, and people, like, laughed about it. Because you do it,
and then you have to ask them to sign after.
We had to ask them. Some people weren't. Some people were like, absolutely not.
Horrified.
And please leave us alone forever. But plenty of people, like, had fun with us, and we were just being ridiculous, and we had so much fun. So we made this prank album that we ended up calling the Call Girls.
Yes.
And
an amazing name for an album. And so it's how many calls?
I think it's, you know what, I don't even know. I think it's like 12 calls. Somebody please tell me how many calls are on it. See,
and you guys like edited
my
it and like
too kind of bad. I don't know how many tracks are on it.
It's fine.
I think there's like 10 or 12 tracks.
Great.
And we just had so much fun. We just pranked people, and we're about to make another one because I'm like, let's just keep doing this.
Yes.
Let's keep doing stuff that was just fun when we were kids before all of this, not what's happening in the world, but I mean, just before that we went into this as a business, you know, at every other aspect of our lives. There's so many things as comedians and performers that we can't control, but we can decide that we're going to prank call a hotel and pretend that we left, like, you know, we would call hotels and be like, Jessica would be like, I left a fanny pack with some fish in it in the lobby. I mean, the funny, and they would look for it. I'd be like, there's a Newsweek from 1997. I want to say that Diana was on the cover, but I don't know if she was gone by then. And then they would go check. We don't have the fanny pack or the Newsweek. And I remember Jessica goes, there was fish in that pack. How about the fish? And she goes, there was sturgeon. I need to know if the sturgeon's there. And then she goes, did they have it on the menu? Because they could have served it. And the woman was like, we do have fish on the menu. She's like dying. But I guarantee, ma'am, that we would not have served it.
And you're taking advantage of the customer service people that have to give benefit of the doubt, which is why that's the best place to call, because they have to keep you on and try to, as long as they feel is appropriate, like adhere to your needs and try to solve the problem, even though they're like, probably just like, this lady left fucking fish in a fanny pack. They're like, what? I don't know. Just, you don't hang up. You fucking find it. Find it for her. Some manager was hounding down her neck. That's amazing.
She's like, I can promise you we did not serve the sturgeon. She goes, I would have served it. I paid an enormous amount of money for that fish. Is there any way you can make sure? So, yeah, we had some fun, and we were just being a couple of assholes. And so if anybody wants to check it out, it's like wherever you buy these things. Call Girls. Yeah, it's like on Spotify and everything else.
Great.
And everything. So thanks for having me.
You also probably grew up on the Jerky Boys, right?
Yes, I loved watching. I loved listening to the Jerky Boys, and I loved this kind of stuff. And and I always wanted. I would do it after school. Like that's what got me through like those weird years where my hair was dripping down my back. It's just prank call strangers.
Yeah, you two are two of the funniest out there, and so that's a. It's so funny how sometimes it does take a minute to just like realize, and this pandemic did shine a light on like, let me get back to the things or find some joy in this because it did get stripped away for sure. I think for everybody a little bit. So it's like, let me just not do the monotonous same shit I was doing and think that that's going to be fulfilling. You got to like think outside the box.
Yeah,
so
and there's so many things in our careers, like we're waiting on did I get this or that or whatever. There's so many things we don't have the answer. But it's like, you can just make things with your friends. That's all I want to do is just make silly nonsense with my friends and hang out like I'm doing today. But I know you have somebody after me, so I don't want to...
Real quick, 2 more minutes and then we're wrapping this up.
Okay.
We're a little over. But we close every episode out with an Inside the Actor Studio questionnaire.
Okay.
R.I.P. James Lipton, host of the show. You would have been on it, no doubt. So we're going to close it out, get to know Rachel Feinstein a little bit more with the 10-question questionnaire, and I will be James Lipton. Here we go.
Okay.
Rachel, what is your favorite word?
I wasn't ready.
Sorry. Rachel, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yes.
Maybe twat. That's a fun word, right?
It's a great word.
Yeah.
Use it in a
Thanks,
sentence.
James. I wish I could be the kind. Sorry.
What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word? Shit, I got to think of a bad word. Like a word I'm not fond of.
Some people say
buttocks
like,
is kind of a stupid word.
It is. It's not fun either. It's too...
It's ridiculous.
It's the one of the medical words that's like weirder and creepier than saying, like if a doctor was like, there's something wrong with your buttocks, you're like, dude, just say my life.
Yeah, I'd rather my heart. Yeah, at that point. Yeah. I don't want some gangrenous buttocks infection. No one needs... It's over. It's a wrap anyway. May as well take the rest of me.
What turns you on?
I guess people that are funny and real and just kind of down to earth, like whatever.
Genuine sense of humor.
Down to earth is such a dumb phrase. I'll regret saying that later, but you know what I mean. Just I guess people you can hang with.
Yes,
I like a good hang.
Yes,
I'm here for the hang.
Great T-shirt.
That's what it'll say on my gravestone. I'm here for the hang. I love this liquid death water.
It's great, right?
Yeah, because I feel like I'm getting lit, but I'm not.
What turns you off?
I once was sitting in an audition next to a guy who had a headshot with him sitting on a swing, and I've never felt less aroused by a man in my entire life.
Yes.
He was sitting on a swing. There's something about, it's really specific, but if you're out there with a headshot of yourself on a swing, I'm here to say I'm not aroused by you. And I never will be. He had like a wacky expression on a swing. Can you think of anything less manly than
No. I'm trying
a guy funning around on a swing?
It's between that and the guy coming out of the pool with the fucking...
Yes, it's that kind of self-conscious, like the kind of person that stops and kind of has to celebrate every moment.
It's a person that looks at themselves in the mirror, on that mirror that's like in between the produce and like... You know what I'm saying? There's like weird little slivers of mirror at the grocery store.
Yes.
There was a guy I worked with at Albertsons that always did that. I'd always just catch him looking at his...
You should talk about that on stage. The person that looks in the sliver of grocery store mirror. That's
like, there's no way to gauge.
Such an interesting
You're
observation.
so vain. You couldn't even just wait till you got to the car.
Yeah, you're right.
You're like, I got to make sure that when I'm checking out and buying these bagel bites and lube, you know who you are. What's your favorite curse word?
I like fuck.
Great.
Kind of gets to the point.
It does. What sound or noise do you love?
I don't know. Can you answer this for me? I can't think of a good one. I want to answer.
People have said like laugh, like a child's laugh, or like the... Great. How about a positive, uplifting sigh?
My daughter's laughter.
Perfect. What sound or noise do you hate?
I don't like knuckles crack.
Me neither.
Handle
Despise
that
it.
sound. Ugh, it really annoys me.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Wish I could play the piano.
Me too.
Yeah. Wish I could play
like Ben Folds or like Stevie Wonder?
I mean, both, yeah. Stevie Wonder is pretty amazing. My dad's a piano player. I just don't have it. But that he could play by ear. Like, he can hear anything and play it. And it's just so cool, and I don't have it at all.
And I feel like we missed our chance.
Yeah, it's not going to happen for me.
Maybe the recorder at this point. You could probably still pick up. What profession would you not like to do?
Science. I always got real bored in science. I don't really care how things are made. It's more fun. The stories you could make up about how something's made is more compelling to me than how it's actually made. You
Love
know?
that. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Let's get lit. I don't know. I have no.
Nope,
I'll
that's
see
it.
myself out.
Perfect. I'll see myself
On
out.
liquid death.
Great answer. Rachel Feinstein, your specials are out there available for everybody on Netflix and Comedy Central, right?
Yes, you could Netflix, Comedy Central, rachel-feinstein.com.
For tour dates?
Yeah, you could find my tour dates there. My Instagram is _RachelFeinstein. Just get our album, Call Girls. And also follow Jessica Kirson. She's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. She's hilarious, and I had so much fun making this with her. And thank you for having me.
This is great. I've been looking forward to like have a proper hang chat.
This is so fun.
And not just in a parking lot where I was, I guess coming at you with too much positive energy in the middle of the night.
You were so lovely and kind.
That can also be off-putting, though. If it's like dark and you're in a lot and someone's like, hey, you're like,
no,
what do they need?
No, you need that friend.
Yeah,
and
you
have
do.
always, I was talking to Jessica about it today. Yeah, you're always been like just super warm, and when I didn't know a lot of comics in any situation, you were always really good to me. So I appreciate that.
I love you. Well,
thank you. You too.
Zoa. Thanks, Rock. Guys, Adam Ray here for the About Last Night podcast. Hope you enjoyed that episode. It was a good one. A lot of laughs, a lot of tears, a lot of stuff to think about and chew on, huh? Because that's what life's all about, chewing on the good stuff. Nobody said that. Maybe Denzel did. Maybe Tom Hanks did. Maybe they said it together in Philadelphia. The point is, click subscribe right here on the ALN logo so you can get more episodes and stay up to date when new content drops. Highlights, animations, clips. It's all here for you, baby. I'll see you next time. Whoop, I don't know how to blink.